Bullshit.
Bullshit.
An unapologetically raw and real podcast where we tackle life's challenges with real stories, advice, and experts' insights. How was that?
Oh, that was awesome.
Yes. I almost sound like Adam. I was trying to sound like Adam.
Well done.
Well done. I'm Adam.
I'm C.
And I'm D.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of show.
Yes, Ace and D.
Today's episode brought to you by A&D Ointment.
Eight.
And
Oh,
Balmex.
he did not.
And Balmex.
Balmex.
Max.
Sponsorships.
Yes, we
Anybody?
are. We're asking, requesting, praying. Please give us a sponsor.
Send us the diaper cream.
Even if we don't need it anymore, you know.
No.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, really. He gets diaper rash all the time.
The stage we have.
Okay.
We have. But guess what? Oh, don't. No, oh, no. You know what we're going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen?
Tell us,
We're
please.
going to talk about navigating the bullshit of the U.S. healthcare system.
Oh, sistemas.
Systems. How you say that in Italian?
I haven't learned that one yet.
Sistemas in Spanish, excuse
It's
me.
probably pretty damn similar in Italian.
Probably.
There you go.
Vorrei
Le
un
system.
cornetto, per favore.
See that? He
Or
just came back
le
immediately.
system.
He hasn't stopped. That's why I figured I'd give him.
He drinks so much coffee.
I do.
What do you call it?
Espresso.
No, quad.
Quad.
Yeah.
Espressos.
4 shots.
Boy. 4 shots. It's not tequila, baby. It's not tequila.
Send us.
You're doing it
espresso.
wrong. It's supposed to be tequila.
Oh,
Yeah, and- oh,
I would be
oh.
on the floor. I wouldn't be. I'm a lightweight. I'm a cheap date.
Wow.
Healthcare
Hear that?
system.
He's a cheap date.
You're a cheap date.
I'm also happily
Don't
married.
get sick, because he's going to leave your ass on the floor, because he ain't taking you to the hospital.
Wow, we are
Come on in on that
off on a
today.
tangent.
Yes. Big tangent.
What are we talking about
But
today?
if you would let
Oh,
me get
yeah.
it out.
Oh, you said it.
We're talking about the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Bullshit of the U.S. healthcare system is.
Oh, right. See, you said sistemas, and then it.
Yeah, I
Took
know.
us
Then
on.
we went left.
Oh, and
Great
if we're gonna
balance
get
of
into
desire.
insurance, look out.
Oh, I got a story.
Look out.
So when my mother was in the hospital, right, the doctors came to us. We was getting ready to leave by the elevator. And he says, the Benjamin girls? We like, yes. Well, we just want to let you know that your mother's not doing very well. My sister faints
Oh.
right at the elevator. My other sister starts running up and down the hallway, and I'm standing there. And I said, and I'm the youngest. Oh, my God. So I grabbed my one sister, and I'm, holding her up. And I told them, hold them up. The other one's running up and down the hallway. So I grab her, and I'm like, wow. Y'all allowed this man to give my mother a death sentence. Are y'all freaking crazy? So we gathered them, so and so and so. And I tell you, my mother lived about 15 years after that. So talking about this, you have to be the advocate. for your
Without question.
care. You have to.
Without
The
question.
doctors, the nurses, and after that she went into a nursing home, right? And she was on the tube.
Respirator or
Yep.
food tube.
Yep. And they said, "Oh, your mother's gonna never come off of that again." I said, "Don't listen to them."
Mhm.
My sister, she worked for Montefiore. She found someone. We hired her to get my mother off there. My mother was out of there, I think, for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so
But isn't that frightening? Think about people
Yes,
who
it
aren't
is.
advocating for themselves.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, and it happens all the
scary.
time. I have a few stories. I won't go into them right now so we can
Yes,
actually
bring it
jump
on.
into
Yes,
the story.
yes,
But yet,
yes.
yeah, it's a scary world, the medical place.
Yes, it is. We got to be ready for this. But we have someone coming on today. Susie. Susie, born and raised and educated in Santa Barbara, California. So sorry. Has resided in the Santa Ynez Valley for 40 years. Started her medical career in 1968 and worked in a barrier of practices. Flew with a group of doctors to Mexico 3 years to practice in a free clinic for needy Mexican patients who lived in outlying small communities. Susie retired in 2013 as a medical practice administrator, sat on the Physicians Advisory Board for Sensal, headed the Medical Society's Medical Managers Group for 2 years, married for 40 years, wow, now widowed, CEO of 2 companies, Palamo Foods Inc. and White Hound Inn and Properties. Her passions, cooking, baking, and canning, and she enjoys teaching kids how to cook. I'll go with the bacon, Susie. I like red velvet cake and chocolate. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show, Susie.
Wow. Susie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
That is an impressive list of credentials.
Yes.
And wow, what a great thing, doing the work that you did.
It was
I bet that
an
was intense.
amazing career. Amazing.
God bless.
Wow.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah.
And you're still doing it, Susie. That's what it sounds like to me. You're still doing it.
Yes, I haven't let go quite.
That's the passion, and that is your purpose. That's just consistently pulling out. So
Absolutely.
tell us, Susie, a little bit about what's the bullshit on the healthcare system.
Yes.
Well, let me give you a little background information
Please.
as to why I'm coming to you today.
Okay.
In June of 2013, my life changed forever. My husband was not feeling well. I took him into the emergency room. He was diagnosed with a catastrophic illness and taken by ambulance down to Santa Barbara and admitted to the hospital. Within 24 hours, he was in intensive care. His kidneys had shut down and he went on a ventilator. He was in ICU for 2 months. Most of that time, he was on a ventilator. He lost 100 pounds.
Whoa.
He had multiple surgeries, two of which were on his intestinal tract.
Mm.
He went then to rehabilitation for another 2 months, where they had to train him to walk, to eat, to do adult daily living skills, getting himself dressed. Just getting into a wheelchair was difficult. He had 3 hours of therapy every day, which is the
Wow.
Medicare guideline for admitting a patient to a rehab facility. That included physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy.
Mm.
He came home 4 months later. And I, after all my years working in the medical field, was totally unprepared for the man that came home.
Oh, wow.
He was weak. He could hardly walk. He was in renal failure. And what happens then is he became a dialysis patient. We do not have a dialysis unit in the Santa Ynez Valley. So 3 times a week, at least
Wow.
3 times a week, I took him to the nearest dialysis facility. It was a 3 to 4 hour session, and then he would come home. And that facility was it was a total of 75 miles round trip.
Wow.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow.
He
that's a
had
long way.
almost all of his intestinal tract removed. He
Wow.
came home with an ileostomy. I had a 32-minute instruction from the nurse on how to change the bag.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, they don't tell you that, oh, the bag has to be emptied every 2 hours.
Yep.
Medicare doesn't pay for the bag
Mm.
that lasts 4 hours. So think about that 24
Yep.
7,
Mm-hmm.
you're up.
Wow.
That
Change the
lasted
bag.
for 1 year. And at that time, he had a surgery to reverse that. The first year after he became ill, he was an inpatient in the hospital for a total of 7 months.
Oh.
He had
Wow.
multiple hospitalizations, multiple surgeries. He came home, and I cared for him for 8 years, 24/7, getting him to dialysis, making sure that he was well fed, clean, loved. I gave him the best care I could. And in June of 2021, he passed away at home in my arms.
Oh.
So that's what brings me to the conclusion that you have to be an advocate for your own care, and you have to be an advocate for the care of your loved ones.
Wow.
Amen.
Without question. I mean,
Wow. I'm so sorry. I mean, what a harrowing experience. Wow. 8 years. I can't even imagine.
It was a learning experience. It was exceptionally humbling. I had a fabulous life before all that happened, and I changed gears immediately. I retired to devote my time to him.
Mm.
It was a challenge. I tend to be very good with challenges. I face them head on, and I learned a hell of a lot.
I bet. Um,
Wow.
what would you say was your biggest hurdle in that process of having to get him in and out of the hospitals, or what were they telling you during this entire process? And what made you go looking for your own answers?
Well, when he first went into intensive care, every single doctor, with the exception of one, told me they didn't think he would get out of intensive care, that he would die
Mm.
there. There was one physician that I met who remains a very good friend to this day, and he's never once mentioned that. He told me exactly the cause of my husband's critical illness. And by the way, it could have been prevented.
Mm.
And he always gave me hope. He would give me a hug. He would touch my arm. He would
Mhm.
smile at me. And so he was a ray of sunshine. Plus, I'm a very positive person. I always try to work out problems,
Yeah.
find solutions, go to resources.
Yeah.
And I learned to navigate this all, a lot of it from just flying by the seat of my pants.
Mm.
So I have come up with kind of a to do list
Mm.
for patients
Okay.
and their
Hmm.
families.
Okay.
Oh, this is
And
good to know.
yeah,
Do you want to talk a little bit about what that to-do list is? It might be
I
helpful for
would
people
love to
watching and
share it.
listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think everybody has the right to ask questions and ask away.
Yes.
That's
So
right.
important.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you
Mhm.
don't understand something, ask for an
Ask.
explanation. I
Mhm.
always tell my friends and family, if you're going to see your doctor, keep a list of the questions you have.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't
Yes.
mean
Key.
it's going to be a
Yes.
list of 35 subjects you want to cover, because no
Mm-hmm.
physician these days is able to spend that amount of time with you. But bullet point maybe 5 things that are of importance to you, and go with a pad and a pen and be prepared to write down the responses. If
Mm-hmm.
there's
That's smart.
something
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't
Yes.
understand, put a question mark by it and
Correct.
come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever leave without having those 5 questions answered to your satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
Yes.
big advocate of research,
Mm.
and I have found that there are a lot of avenues that you can explore. Um, I am extremely passionate about medications and information that patients get on medications.
Mm.
Every time you get a prescription, there is an insert.
Note.
Read the damn
And the
insert.
font is about 1 millimeter
Milliliter.
tall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They put it in a 1 or 2 font just so that you make it.
Did you
Get
know?
get a
Yeah.
magnifying glass,
You get magnifying
but
Yeah.
glasses,
read
right?
it.
Yep.
Read it and highlight complications,
Complications.
side effects,
Yes.
long-term effects, and question. A good source is to talk to the pharmacist. And when
Mm-hmm.
you
Oh,
get
yeah.
a new prescription, you should always have an option. to have a consultation with the pharmacist on duty. They are a wealth of information. So that's two. Read the insert, talk to the pharmacist.
May
Before
I
you're,
just interject something, Susie? I'm sorry about talking about the pharmacists.
yes,
I live in Brooklyn, and we've had an experience. We used to go to Walgreens for stuff, and we stopped because the Walgreens was in a horrible state, horrible customer service, and we didn't. There were always lines. We went to our local pharmacy. Now I know a lot of local pharmacies are being shut down by like these larger companies, but I have to say our little local pharmacy is called Near Guard. It's been there for over half a century. They are so helpful, and the pharmacist in particular is so willing to take the time and talk to you, and has even like asked has even asked me a question when I was putting in a prescription that was two different medications for somebody. It's like they really care. And I wonder if you've, noticed like kind of a difference in that level of care between different types of pharmacies.
I have experienced both small town pharmacies, and I currently trade at Rite Aid. And I have
Hmm.
traded at Rite Aid for a long time. And I've gotten to know the pharmacists and the staff. And I can go in there or call anytime and ask questions. They are extremely helpful. And I find that even in a big drugstore setting, that they personally care about me. And
That's
I've
great.
developed a relationship with them. I think it's easier when you go to a mom and pop pharmacy, but you are correct, Adam. They do face the corporate world now, and so many of them are not able to financially stay in business. But my suggestion then is develop a relationship. Your third source of information, especially when you're with your primary care physician or your doctor, whoever it may be, and they say, I'm going to try you on a new drug. Ask them then, what is
Mm,
it?
Yeah.
What are the side effects? What are the long-term effects? How is it
Interactions.
how is it going to interact with my other
Other
medications
drugs.
or foods or supplements?
Right.
So,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
key.
mean, really, really, really important to get the information.
And how about
Physicians,
allergic reactions? I'm sorry, Susie. I know when I see these pharmaceutical ads on TV, they'll say,
oh,
"Don't take Dupexent if you're allergic to it." And I always think, well, how would I know if I'm allergic to it as if I'm if I've never taken it? Like, can you, if you're allergic to something like stone fruit, for example, are there certain like food allergen informations that are like that might give some insight into, well, if you're allergic to this, you might be allergic to this
I know
pharmaceutical?
the only thing I know about that, Adam, is that on some medications, they will tell you not to like drink grapefruit juice
Right.
because it affects how the medication is going to react in your body. Or
Right.
And
don't drink
process.
alcohol if you're taking certain drugs. And
Yeah.
I think that, again, ask your pharmacist about interactions.
Yeah.
The drug thing, that is what caused my husband's ultimate death, was that a dentist and an oral surgeon felt it was the right treatment plan to have him take one of the super antibiotics for 21 days. And
Oh.
it did eventually kill him,
Oh.
but it was it was scary. Um, Physicians will, when you go to see a physician, they will go over your questions and your issues, and they will form what they call a treatment plan. So recently I went in to see an orthopedic surgeon because my shoulder hurt, and I happen to have worked in several orthopedic offices. And he was already sharpening the scalpel blade as I walked in the examining room. He
Mm.
said, I've looked at the MRI of your shoulder, and what you need to have done is a total shoulder replacement. And by the way, they do those now on an outpatient basis.
Yep.
Yeah.
That to me is frightening.
Wow.
And so here's my recommendation. If you get a treatment plan, question it. If you're not happy with, let's go to the operating room, Susie,
Mhm.
what are the alternatives? And I knew what the alternatives were. And so I went and had physical therapy. And the purpose of having physical therapy was to show me exercises to strengthen my shoulder. And I also asked him to inject my shoulder. Do you know it's
Yeah.
been over a year and my shoulder doesn't bother me at all?
Wow. That's great.
So
Chop, doctor.
Yeah.
So happy to hear that.
question treatment plans, ask about alternatives. Don't
Yeah.
you know you have the right to know.
Yeah.
Watch your laboratory test results. I think that's very important, and you can ask for a printout of them. In some areas you can get them online,
Emailed, yes.
but
Yeah. Out here, you can
watch
get them online.
watch the trends and ask them. I recently had, as I do every 6 months, some blood work done. My physician is very thorough and she orders a chemistry panel. And this time, one of my liver enzymes was up. Well, let's be honest. I live in the San Ynez Valley and I am a wine drinker and I enjoy my wine. And
As
she
we all do.
said,
Yes.
drink more water and stop drinking wine.
Mm.
Okay, well, here's where I questioned it. So I happened to discover that one of the supplements I was taking, turmeric, can increase liver
Wow.
enzymes.
Wow.
I
Oh.
stopped the turmeric.
Rick,
I forced a lot of water, but I didn't stop my wine.
drinking your wine.
Right.
All
Why
right.
would you?
Why? No, that's not happening.
And
Yeah.
I started taking a liver cleanse gummy. And I went back and repeated my liver enzyme tests in 3 months, and it was absolutely within normal range.
Look at that.
Ah,
Great.
Look at
Isn't that
Look at
fascinating?
Look at
But here's
And
the question: is of 10
Yes.
people who
Yes.
had that same situation, how many do you think would actually question what the doctor was
oh,
saying?
not many. I mean,
Yeah.
when I went back and spoke to my physician to get my lab results, and I told her what I had done,
Yeah.
she said absolutely not. She did not believe that it was the turmeric. And I advised her that she should go online and enter turmeric liver enzymes and do a little reading.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
see, don't you think
hopefully,
that's a big problem, though? I think that says a lot about the doctor that here they are presented with empirical evidence. And even still, the idea of them being wrong is so anathema, they can't accept it. Oh, that can't be right.
well, and I
They're gonna be
am
tough.
very fortunate because I have a primary care physician. She's an internist and she is excellent. She's one of the best in the county. And I was surprised at her reaction. She is she just she looks at every avenue. She's willing to communicate. And so when her response was that she didn't think it was the turmeric, and I challenged her, and I was actually very shocked at her response.
Wow. Yeah, so that's interesting. So you're saying this person even like had a good baseline where that's concerned. Like you think that your doctor is actually open,
I
that they
def-
weren't in this
I
case for whatever
definitely
reason.
think she's very open. But
Wow.
perhaps this was an avenue she didn't do much research on.
That's
And
true.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
hoping that the next time I see her and we repeat the blood tests, and we'll see the results, that I'll ask her, did you do some research on that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had a doctor, really quick, Susie. God bless her. I left her, but her office sucked. Um, and whenever, I traveled to South Africa a couple of years ago, and she researched and looked up every single pill I was supposed to take and looked to see how it was going to affect my pressure
Uh-huh.
Oh,
being
wonderful.
out there. And I love her for that. I just hope she gets her
Yeah.
office together because I'll go back.
And
one of
did
the,
For the
you
office.
uh-huh.
have
It
you
was the support staff that put you off.
Huh?
It was her. It was the doctor's support staff
Yeah,
that put
she
you off.
is phenomenal.
Mm.
She sat right there, Susie, and went through each pill because I had to take a lot of pills to go to South Africa. I don't know
right?
why.
Exactly.
Yeah, but she went through them, and she
That
says,
is
"Okay, this."
fantastic.
Yeah.
She's a great doctor,
Yeah.
and I noticed.
Have you commented to her about
I did,
your
I
feelings
did,
about the
but
staff?
she's in the room with another doctor, and I guess it's an associates kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And I told her, I said, Dr. Lemley, I really, really want to come back, and so does my son, because we both went there, And she says, "Okay, Dawn." I said, "Because you're one of the best doctors I've had out here. You research everything." And she said, "Well, how did you do when you went to Africa?" I said, "Yeah, well, let's not talk about the doctor I have now. Oh, hope he ain't watching." But yes, Susie, I agree with you. Yeah, that is everything.
Yeah.
That is everything.
Just to finish up on laboratory tests.
Yeah.
Please.
Again, keep records, keep some records,
Mm.
and question your physician when something seems to be trending out of the normal range. I think
Mm.
you have every right to know and to get suggestions about that.
It's also okay to say, I have no idea what you just said. If your doctor explains something to you, if you look at the results, I
Absolutely.
think a lot of
Yeah.
people feel like they have to say, yes, doctor, yeah, I got it. And when I don't understand, I say, you're going to have to explain
Yeah.
that to me in a different way. Like, I
Yeah,
have no
yeah.
idea what you're talking about.
Let's start over and explain it to me so that I understand every step
Mhm.
of the progress that we're aiming towards. And again, I mean, we all are capable of asking those questions. One thing I think is very important for anyone who is a patient, and by goodness, we all are.
Mm-hmm.
The American Medical Association puts out a document called Patient Rights and Responsibilities.
Mhm.
I think everyone should take the time to read it. It
Mm.
talks
Wow.
about being treated with courtesy, with
Mm.
dignity, without bias, with open communication, and it is stellar. It
Mm.
gives you the power, and it lets you know in writing you have the power to question, to ask, to get appropriate answers, to look at alternatives. But I think
Mhm.
it's a very important document for people to read and to know.
Great
Mm.
recommendation.
Yeah, very good
Thank you for that.
recommendation.
'Cause a lot of us don't read, Susie.
No,
Not
we
all of
don't.
it.
Those Bill of
You know,
Rights. We just
I
just
think
sign it.
I think we've all
A lot of
we've
times.
grown up in an era where it's the doctor that I mean, when I started working in medicine, doctors were on a big pedestal, and
Mhm.
now they appear to me to be a little more human, a little more down to earth. They're not that important person in the white coat that you always believe.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
um so I would like to also touch on, as we age, so I'm in my 70s, and as I have aged, my medical issues and my care have become a little more complex. I mean, I hit 40. Okay, well, my eyes weren't working so well. So I started with the readers, and then I finally
Mhm.
got some prescription glasses. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but people, as you age, your body changes. I am not 35 any longer. I wish I was, but I'm not. Um,
Right.
People face things like elevated blood pressure, decrease in vision. They
Mhm.
may have developed diabetes.
Mhm.
They may have heart disease or some other chronic disease, or they may have cancer. And I think that as we age, you need to become even more of an advocate for your health
Yes,
care
yes, yes,
because
yes, yes.
it's
Yes.
not as simple as it was when you were 35.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have not
Yeah.
been to the doctor for an upper respiratory infection in 10, 15 years. But there are other things that have changed in my body that I need to keep track of. And so I hate to call myself a senior citizen. I hate that term.
You're a
But
seasoned woman.
as an older adult,
There you go. That's a better one.
I find even more of a need to be my own advocate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think these days and age, you kind of have to like. I know I had my own challenges when I was looking for doctors. At one point, they were just handing shit out like crazy. This one doctor, he was not with it all the time. Like sometimes he'd be like seem kind of out of it. I didn't think he was actually dangerous, but he was giving me a lot of dangerous shit. So I had to, oh yeah, I had to switch doctors. But then later on, and I don't know if it's from previous things or what happened, but medications I started taking, all of a sudden my lip would blow up, just crazy blow up,
Oh,
very large.
Wow.
Lower, it would change all the time. It would be like my lower lip, sometimes even my eyelids puffed out to like out to here. Another time my
Wow.
lip grew. Another time my whole cheek went out. Another time my throat closed. Another time
Medications he was giving you?
medications. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a whole slew of them that now I have to, deem as
That's so key.
yeah, they're
These medications, right? So they don't mix with each other.
well, and not only that, like sometimes your body just doesn't want
It
this
doesn't
shit.
know.
Yeah. And so if you're putting in too many things that your body doesn't agree with, and I happen to be one of those people that I never had any allergies, food or anything, and I got all the tests taken because of the lip starting to blow up, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? And then they're like, and they can't figure out why. And then they started with, well, maybe it's a blood pressure medication that and I had to be put on a blood pressure medication because I was taking a birth control pill that was new to market, and I started it, and all of a sudden my blood pressure skyrocketed. So
Wow.
they were like, you have to stay, you got to get off of that. But then we could never stabilize the blood pressure again.
Oh.
So then it was like I'm taking all these other things. Then what happens from there was my lip starts blowing up. So it's so many
so many
It
things.
could be like a cascade.
it is a cascade
Yes.
effect. And
I don't know how true this is with Dr. Oz. They say something about you shouldn't take 7 to 8 pills, more than 6, I think. Something
Ever.
You got to check it out.
yeah.
It's too many pills.
Hmm.
Because sometimes I see my aunt, and when she come back from the hospital, I said, "But what are these pills?" She'd have it in that one of those long things,
Too, yeah.
and it would be all filled up with 6 or 7 pills. And I
Good
said,
Lord.
"Who went to the doctor with you?" I did the same thing with my mom. They
Yeah.
gave her this pill that somehow affected her. And when I went, I said, "What is this? Thorax? She can't take this."
Hmm.
She says, "Well, no, I said she cannot take it.
Good for you.
Something else. Something
Yeah.
else." Because they think
That
that
one
they
gets a sound
know
effect.
Over.
right everything about you, but and as you get older, like you said, you have to look at everything.
Well, you do change. Yeah, your
Yeah.
body changes,
yeah.
and maybe not reacting in the same way as it used to something. And now it's decided, fuck that, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then you got to either find an alternative or try holistic approaches and see if
Yes.
that helps calm it down. If it doesn't, then revisit. But like, ideally, you want zero medication.
Absolutely.
If that's
If it's possible.
it's possible.
Yes.
And then
What are your thoughts? I'm just curious about this. Seem just mentioned holistic medication. What are your thoughts about certain natural remedies?
Natural herbs, some remedies.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't take a lot of natural herbs. I don't take all that, but I will tell you that my physician is a big proponent of supplements, holistic medicine, and she has suggested some things on occasion for me, and they've worked. Some medications for electrolytes and natural things. I mean, she's more than willing to explore those avenues, and I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
don't think that traditional medicine is always the solve the solve all problems.
Right.
So,
Western medicine can be
again, they say with a lot of the herbs and things, you need to be cautious about the interaction
also
with your own medication. And so again,
totally true.
pharmacists and online information. But I'm willing to explore that. I've worked in traditional medicine for almost 48 years, and nothing's preventing me from looking at alternatives. That's for sure.
That's
Right.
for
Right.
sure.
And yeah, you do
that's a
got to
great
check it out. I
perspective.
mean, just like turmeric, which is something that became very, very hot.
Yeah.
It's like take turmeric, it takes your
Reduces-
inflammation down,
Yes.
stuff like that. But if that's spiking your liver, then
You have to be careful.
I
of
mean,
that too now.
you got to like kind of really figure out what
Yeah.
herbs and natural solutions are
Yeah.
that do work for you. Not all do. Yeah.
true.
Well, and also
That's true.
everybody's body responds
Differently.
and part of it is like a trial and error.
It is.
Open to
Unfortunately,
experimentation.
it is.
It
And
is.
Unfortunately, when you get pills in the hospital, they don't know if it's going to work. Oh, that didn't work, Doctor So and So. Then they give you something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Right? You're
I know with
confused.
my husband, he had always had, prior to becoming ill, had a severe penicillin allergy. And when he became critically ill, and they tried him on new medications to address all the upcoming diagnoses that were hitting him all at once, we discovered that he was becoming allergic to a lot of medications.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
so I made sure that not only did his primary care physician know about them, the pharmacy can keep a list of your allergies. Make sure that they know what they are.
Yeah.
If you're admitted to the hospital, if the hospital doesn't have access to your physician's records, take a list of your medications and take a list of your allergies if you're admitted. You want to make sure I mean, I'm allergic to latex gloves. And I make sure that every time I go and if somebody's putting a glove on, my question is it latex? Because
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
severely allergic to latex.
Yeah.
Years ago, I became severely allergic to salmon. We had a friend that had sent us a bunch of salmon that he'd caught up in Alaska, and we ate salmon like crazy. All of a sudden, one day, I was eating salmon and I couldn't breathe. I developed
Yeah.
an
Oh.
allergy to
Isn't that
salmon.
something?
It didn't
Oh,
just stay with
gosh.
the salmon. I then became allergic to the CT contrast material because of the iodine in it.
Ooh.
And so
Mm.
at the time I was having multiple CT scans. And the radiologist, I still remember him, and he's retired now. We did the first two, and I was getting hives and having a reaction. The third time, he gave me a shot of Benadryl before, and it still didn't help. And he
Whoa.
came into that room and he said to me, "Do not ever let anyone give you CT contrast material again. It could kill you."
Dang.
Oh, wow.
So
That's harrowing.
That's so Susie, even that, wouldn't it be important to have your family know all the things that you are allergic to? And and I was joking around and I was
absolutely.
telling him, oh, my son knows all my codes, but he got to know about my health too.
I mean, it's better if you have a list, if you can keep one.
Yeah.
And
Or
that
get
way,
get a medical alert bracelet.
or that.
I like
Because
the
they
idea of the pharmacy
Yeah.
knowing, because if they know your pharmacy, they could, potentially have
Pharmacy,
access to all that information.
Definitely, they
absolutely.
should always be updated.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
great, because then, God forbid, I mean, we never like to think about this, but what if you're, at the
Can't talk to
hospital and you're
people.
unconscious?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Somebody got
Exactly.
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
trying to
always
keep-
made sure with any hospital admission for my husband that a list of his medication. In fact, I was so instructive. They probably saw me coming and thought, "Oh God, not her again."
You know
But
they
I would
did.
have one page with his medical history, one page of his medications, one page with his primary care and specialist physicians,
Good
and
for
one
you,
page of his
Susie.
allergies. Okay,
Wow.
Wow.
here's the ledger. Read it before you
Yes.
admit it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, good for
Um,
you.
Yeah,
You
that
know, when
is
the
good.
paramedics come, same thing. I'd keep a copy of his most recent discharge summary from the hospital, and I had multiple copies,
Wow.
and I'd hand them a copy. And
Wow.
that way
Susie, you
they'd
need a
know
book.
exactly what they were dealing with. And
What not to
you know,
do.
again, it lists
Yes.
those things, list all your medications and all your allergies.
Susie, you
Susie's
need a
on
book.
top of it.
No, no, this is a handout. It's a
Yeah.
handbook right here, Susie.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely. Um, the final thing I want to touch on,
Uh-huh.
and then we can go from there, is resources available to patients and their families.
Yes.
So I've made a list.
There you go, Susie.
Another list.
Yeah.
Obviously, your best resource is going to be your primary care physician.
Mhm.
They're the one who gathers all the information, directs your care to the specialty areas, orders the lab tests, prescribes medications. Develop a relationship with your primary care physician. Do you know on the day that my husband died, I called because I'm pushy enough and I happen to have her cell phone number and she's a neighbor and lives down the street. I
Mm.
called my primary and Don's primary physician and she said, "I'd like to come over." And I said, "Okay." She walked down the road in her high heels with her flowing dark hair and her beautiful old hippie skirt, carrying a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a French apple pie in the other.
Oh.
And she came in and comforted me. By then, he was already gone.
Mm.
And that's the kind of relationship I want
Mm.
with my primary care physician.
Wow.
Wow.
Again, develop a relationship with your pharmacist.
Mhm.
Become their best friend.
Mm.
You know, I do a lot of canning. I've given multiple jars of homemade jam to my pharmacist, and by gosh, she calls me by name when I'm standing in line at the pharmacy.
Yeah. That's
I
so
think
smart.
Very smart.
It is.
I
I
think
like this.
patients can get a lot of confusing overload information from the internet. I stick with
Yeah.
two sources if I go to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
One is WebMD,
Mm-hmm. Popular one.
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is Mayo Clinic.
Another
Yeah.
popular one.
Yeah.
And I think that those two can. You don't want to get a laundry list of resources because then you get an overload. For someone who's not medically oriented, it can become overwhelming rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
I use those. The other thing I do is I look up medications online. Just type in the name of the drug.
Yeah.
And I have gotten a lot of information that way. My best friend lives in Florida, and her doctors, when they put her on a new medication, while I'm on the phone with her, I look it up and I send her a copy of the document and I say,
Good for
"Read the
you.
damn thing."
Yeah.
And she does.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can look up, go ahead, Adam. You had a question?
Oh no, I was just going to say, it takes some effort and energy, but I love that you're, the vigilance, vigilance is so
Absolutely.
key, and being willing to put the work in.
If a doctor suggests that they're going to do a procedure on you, look it up on the internet.
Mhm.
I recently had
That's true.
a skin cancer removed from my foot, and he wanted to do a Mohs procedure. Well,
What is that?
yes, it's good because he doesn't make as much of an incision,
Incision. Oh,
but
okay.
it takes 6 weeks to heal.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
had
Oh.
it's finally healed. So I had one on my hand, and I said, "I cook all the time. I cannot have a healing wound for 6 weeks on the back of my hand. So don't do
Right.
the Mohs." And he didn't. He agreed.
See, that's great. And I think a lot of people, again, just wouldn't think. They would think, okay, this
When
is
it's
the
time,
doctor, this is
yeah.
the expert. Like, I'm going to do what they say. But yeah, just saying, well, are there other options?
Well, I'm
You know?
compliant, but I'm not always obedient.
Right.
Yeah, there's a difference.
There's a definite difference.
There's a definite
Yeah.
distinction there.
Yeah.
If you, let's say you see a physician and you don't particularly care for them,
Mhm.
look them up online. Go to the, you can call your county medical society and ask, have they had any, lawsuits brought against them? Have they had any complaints filed against them? Did they have any pending medical board, issues
Yeah.
coming up? Research new physicians to find.
And I have something to counter on that. So not counter, but add to that.
Mhm.
So when we would, Paul and I just moved to East Brunswick. I was looking for doctors, and there's one that's really close. And most of our doctors are in that medical park, and it's not even a mile from here. So it's just like boom, boom, you're there. And I thought, this doctor looks good. There were some good reviews. Then I called the insurance company. I said, okay, for my new primary care physician, I'd like this doctor. And they went, oh. I went,
That's not a good sound.
so what does mean?
Yeah.
She's like, not a lot of people really choose that doctor. I'm like, oh, why? She's like, why don't you look it up? Okay. And so she said, call back after you read.
After you read it.
So then I read. Yeah.
When you find someone else.
Oh shit. So then I read like the actual tools within the website of the insurance didn't have those things. But then I just typed in his name and it was like death, murder, kill doctor.
Stop
My
it.
father was just had this one little problem, and by the end, Dr. Borat or whatever his name is killed him. And another one said, if you go to this doctor, you will end up worse than you get than before. And then another one that said, my father died. That's all it said. And so I called back and I said, okay, well, I don't want Dr. Borat, just for lack of a better word.
I feel sorry for Dr. Borat.
Yeah, if there is a Borat, if there is a Dr. Borat, I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry, I'm just using whatever.
Dr. X, let's say.
Dr. X, sure. Anyway, so it wasn't Borat though. I know that for sure.
Oh,
But anyway,
are you going to get complaints?
He's not alive anymore. He probably killed himself on his own plan.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I called back and they said, all right. They put a note on the side. She requested this, but is going to call back in. And they're like, it's a very good thing you did not choose Dr. X. And I was like, whoa.
Why is
You're
he
the
still on
insurance,
this?
man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
a good question.
So I didn't pick him.
Good.
Oh, you
Good.
didn't pick him?
No, I
Still
didn't.
here.
Dr. Death would have already killed me. So
Oh.
Dr. Death.
Dr. Death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. That was such
Another
a crazy.
resource, of course, is your friends. Well, I've moved to
Oh,
the
yeah.
area and, I need a dentist. Who would you recommend? Who do you see? And
Yeah.
then extrapolate from that and do your research.
Right.
But it may be, you can go to a doctor and even if you agree with what they're saying, you don't care for them personally. You're not tied at the hip to that doctor.
That's right.
No.
That's a great point.
And
yes.
just like
Right.
you see, you made a choice to go elsewhere and you have the right to do that.
Yes.
I don't know about in your area, but my providers, the hospital, the lab, and my primary care physician and other specialists that I see, use an app called MyChart.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, we
do
have
too.
that.
okay,
We have it.
okay, so you're familiar
got
with
that.
MyChart. For those
Right.
people who are not, MyChart is an application that you sign up for, and it will allow you to not only view appointments, future and past, it will allow you to view radiology reports, lab tests. It will graph out your lab test trends. It will talk about your allergies. You can look at a summary of your last appointment. So I'm sure that there are different applications used all over the country. I happen to use my chart because my providers do, but it's a great source. It's a
Mhm.
great source.
It is. Oh, it's nice to be able to
It is
prepay
good.
for your session too. You can have
Also, you
everything
can
taken
prepay.
care
That's
of,
right.
so
It
you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about
allows you to
that,
do that.
Now,
Wow.
now, see, you talked about contacting the insurance company, and I think we contact our insurance carriers for multiple reasons, like you did to select a doctor and find that you really didn't want that doctor. But
Oh
you can
yeah.
ask about in-network physicians, both primary care and specialists. Um, here's one. You can talk about covered services, and you can ask them about how your claim was paid. If you don't if you don't think that it was paid at what it should have been paid, call them up and ask them. I happen to
Mhm.
have Medicare and a high option Anthem Blue Cross. So I know that I don't have a copay if I'm hospitalized or have lab tests or get, anything done. I don't I mean I pay an arm and a leg for it every month,
Mhm.
but I can tell you when my husband was in the hospital the first 4 months, his bill was well over $3 million. And we
Jeez
did not
Louise.
pay a dime for
Woo-hoo.
doctors
Oh,
or
Wow.
hospitals or anything. When he started dialysis on an outpatient basis, his treatment costs were $36,000 a month.
Per month.
oh,
Jeez.
If we
wow.
had to pay that, I'd be living on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole different episode. I
That
feel
is.
like
That
the
is
stress that
so.
people are on in
If
this
you
country who
don't,
don't have health insurance.
in fact, when I was working in healthcare, I happened to notice that reimbursement from one particular carrier was always low, and so we started researching. I'm very good at insurance billing and figuring things out,
Mhm.
Mm.
and uh, we found that this insurance carrier was just they were just underpaying all the claims. And so
Oh
these poor
God.
patients were just paying the
Uh,
difference.
Oh my God. What a
I
racket.
swear, I think sometimes this is just baked into the system. Like these insurance companies are going to try to take as much extra money as they can, just under the assumption that people aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, and they won't pay
Exactly.
attention.
They're not going to follow up.
Well,
No.
Uh,
and
Or question.
Right. Right. Right.
this is the time of year until December 7th that
Yeah.
Medicare patients have to change the type of coverage they have.
Yes, they do.
And
Yeah.
I know Humana has put a lot of ads on the television,
Mm.
and it would be great if I didn't have to pay $400 a month for my health care insurance.
Yeah.
However, it said you don't pay any premiums, you
Mm.
don't pay copays, you get all these free benefits. The money's gotta go to them somehow.
Where?
Somehow.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
so does
of
that
it.
mean when you're hospitalized, you pay 50% of your hospitalization?
It could very
Because
well mean
with a
that.
$3 million
Mhm.
bill, that would have added up pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
Sure. Wow.
And
So
that would have ended everything.
telling
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Right.
So
House.
you can't believe everything you hear on TV. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
Especially those
but
commercials.
Yeah.
yeah,
Lots.
listen to those commercials, and
Lots.
Yeah.
I personally have a insurance broker that I have worked with for over 25 years, and every couple
Wonderful.
years at this time of
Mhm.
year, I'll call him and I'll say,
Mhm.
"Well, Daryl, I saw these ads on TV," and he goes, "They don't have a network in your area. They're only hiring foreign medical graduates. All these different things." And he goes, "And you're going to end up paying more out of pocket." I said, "Okay,
Oh.
well, just leave me where I'm at."
Yeah.
That's it.
You want to give a little plug for Dale?
Little plug
For Dale, Daryl. Yeah. Oh,
Daryl.
he's been a good friend for many years.
But you know what? Good advice, because I have an insurance broker too. They're
Yeah,
wonderful. That's
they're
something
great
Yes.
to
people should
have.
look
It's
into.
important. Yeah. I
Absolutely.
agree.
But Susie, I got to tell you something. You are a phenomenal you're a wealth of information. Put it
Yeah,
that
this
way.
was like 3
The
episodes
healthcare
worth of
industry,
data.
yeah.
I feel like
Into
this is such
one.
a
Yeah.
such an asset.
I think this
for
is
the
the
show.
longest episode ever.
Well,
Yeah.
Don,
Yes.
I appreciate
Yes.
that compliment.
Yes, ma'am.
I've spent so much of my career in that fascinating field of medicine, but
Mm.
I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
I bet you
And
have.
I have always been an advocate, but since my husband got sick, I've even become more of an
More of an
advocate.
advocate. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the takeaway from my personal experience
Mm-hmm.
has been, and for any future experiences, always be an advocate and
Mm-hmm.
stay positive.
Yes.
Oh, so
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Very
Positivity.
important. Yeah.
I agree with that. What's the hand clap?
All right.
Thank you so much
Well,
for that.
thanks so much for joining us today. That was
Thank you all.
very enlightening.
I'll be calling you, Susie.
I know, right? All right.
Well,
Paying out of your bullshit.
That's right.
well, until the next time.
Until the next time. Thank you, Susie.
Be a self advocate. Thank you,
Self-
Susie.
Amen.